Alright guys, in this video here, I'm going to tell you how to grout a bathroom floor. As you can see, I'm starting out spreading the grout next to the tub here. One thing you got to be aware of is just make sure that you're spreading that grout next to the tub. You just keep pushing it in there. You don't want any air bubbles or pinholes or anything like that in the grout. Part of that is getting the grout mixed correctly. Check your specs on that. Measure your water out with your grout. Make sure all the specs are right on that. So, yep, as you can see, I'm just spreading the grout in the grout lines. And the main thing what I do is when I'm doing this the grout on the floor here is I'm just make sure I just keep pushing it in there over and over and over, keep going over it. I don't think you can just go over it enough or too many times. Just make sure you're pushing that grout in the grout lines, getting the air out of there. You don't want any air bubbles or pinholes or anything like that. And if you'll notice here in a minute, what I'll do is when I get the grout spread out, I'll kind of do almost like just a clean wipe with the grout trowel, and then I'll come back and I'll turn that grout trowel almost to a 90-degree angle, and just up on a really tight edge, as you can see there, and really pull that excess off of the towel. It's just going to make when you go to clean the towel with your clean water a lot easier. You don't have so much leftover grout on top of the towel. So, yep, just spreading here, and making sure the grout's even. Come back, get all that excess off, and, and I'll let you guys kind of watch this here. This particular bathroom does have a little closet in it. Yeah, not a real big fan of those closets in the bathroom like that. It's just a little small hole. I guess it's somewhere you could put your towels. The other option, I guess, is putting your closet in the outside of the hallway there. Where you could put sheets and stuff like that. I guess that's the personal preference thing. But anyway, yeah, same process here. Just making sure you get the grout in the grout lines, pushed in there over and over and over. Just keep pushing it in there. And sometimes even after I get that little section done, I'll look back and just look over the grout. Sometimes you'll see where you may have missed a spot, or there may be an air bubble that had popped up just after you spread the grout in there. Getting the grout in the grout line and keep pushing it in there, that's probably the biggest advice I can give anybody. If you leave a little extra grout on it, that's just going to make your cleanup a touch harder. The more you do it, of course, the better you get at it. So, yeah, finishing up here, just about to come out of this little guest bathroom here in the hallway. And then I just take the excess and put that back in the bucket there. Usually with once I mix this grout like this, I can get about 2 bathrooms this size out of the same bucket of grout without mixing any more. Just depends on your name brand grout and whatnot. I won't say my preference on that. But yep, clean bucket of water. So there's a few steps to this. What I usually do is I'll come in and I'll get the excess grout off of the towel first. I really like to kind of take my finger and almost go along that tub just to level that out, just to make sure it doesn't have like a curvature, just kind of rolling up that tub there. It's a nice clean looking line along that tub. And one thing you have to be careful of is not going up and down the grout lines. If you notice, I'm either going across that grout line or I'm going at an angle. there's particular grouts that if you go along straight up and down those grout lines, you'll actually dig the grout back out of the grout lines, and you don't want that. So yeah, get the excess off. And usually what I'll do is I'll come here, like I said, it just depends on your brand grout. Some they tend to dry a little faster than the others here, and then I'll do what I call shape my grout lines. So keep in mind how you leave that grout line. That's how it's going to dry. That's how it's going to be forever. So I'll shape my grout lines, and then you come along and you do what you call your final wipe. And so if you'll notice, I'll squeeze the sponge and I'll wipe, and then I'll flip that sponge and wipe, and then I'll rinse it again. So you only get one wipe per side on your final wipe. Yep, as you can see, we're coming along. I usually do 2 towels at a time here. That's what I call a row. So some people like to reach out and go 3 at a time. I just prefer 2. I feel like it's I can be a lot neater with it, and plus my arms aren't quite that long. Just you don't have to stretch out as far. So getting the excess off here, like I was saying, make sure you get that. See, that looked like a little pinhole there that I had. So just fixing that. Sometimes you'll have to get a little grout back out of the bucket there and touch a spot up. This particular grout, I don't really have to shape those grout lines too much. Some of your other brands, like I said, they dry a little bit faster. You do have to shape those grout lines. It's almost like a 3-step process. Kind of doing a 2-in-1 there, and then you always have to do that final wipe with your grout in clean water. So every squeeze, you'll get a little small your wipe, and then you'll flip that sponge and you'll wipe again on that clean side. Going in the closet here and getting all that excess off. And like I said, I'm doing that 2-for-1 just with this particular grout I'm using. It doesn't dry that fast, and I'll kind of wipe it and shape it at the same time. Then I'll come back and do my final wipe. And it can be a little tricky too, going around some of your door casings, and you know, I like to really take my time and not have a bunch of grout built up around those door casings. I think it looks terrible when I go in houses and I see just grout all around the door casings, where somebody was just really messy or didn't take their time and clean up really good. So like I was saying before, how you leave it, that's how that grout's going to be. If you leave it caked up around the corners and under the cabinets, that's how the grout's going to be. It's going to be there forever. So yeah, looked like I was having a little trouble there with a pinhole, and I kept popping back up, so kept having to add some grout to it. Just getting that excess grout off the towel there. Come back with that final wipe. If you'll watch, I'll flip that sponge, rinse it out again. One wipe, flip, one wipe. And just make sure, you know, when you get through with the job, you can look back across it a lot of times and you can see if it's got a little bit of a haze to it. That's the worst thing you can do, is leave a bad haze on tile when you grout it. And, you know, that can be a big deal. You have to come back and, you know, acid wash the floor and get that residue off of there, which it can be a real pain. So you want to make sure you get your towel nice and clean with that final wipe. You don't want to keep smearing the grout. But yeah, wrapping this one up. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. New to this, just trying to give you guys some insight and some helpful tips. Thank you.